Is it live? Why can't I see myself live? I'm bugging out. Oh shit, I am live. Alright. Is it live? Why can't I see myself live? I'm bugging out. Oh shit, I am live. Alright. Is it live? Why can't I see myself live? Alright. Alright, we Gucci, we Gucci. Oh shit. Alright. Alright. Alright, we Gucci, we Gucci. Let me just bring it up on my phone so I could read the chat. Is there a chat on this? Bring it up on my phone so I could read the chat. Is there a chat on this? Bring it up on my phone so I could read the chat. Is there a chat on this? All right, cool. Oh, okay, I see it. What's up, boys? I can't even see it. All right, I have to figure out how I can look at the chat okay, I see it. While I am I can't even doing see this. It. All right. Let me log in here. All right, so in the meantime, while I bring up the chat so I can see what you guys are typing to me, put in some ideas or what you guys are looking at for tomorrow. I'm going to go through Tom's option tools. I'm not sure if you guys know what that is. I'm going to see some potential setups on there. Market is kind of in a weird place. I know at the end of the day we had that odd run up. I believe one of the Fed guys, I think Williams, he mentioned something about the Fed rates being cut, and how they're going to be more dovish and they're more open to a cut. But as you can see, I don't know, what are the futures looking like right now? So pretty much that end of market rally you saw was pretty much the comments from the Federal Reserve guy. I don't know his first name, but it was Williams. That kind of really got it going. I think might be able to. Sorry, I'm logging into my phone here. I mean, let me look at the futures. What do we got? Oh, wow. Alrighty. Wow. We touched 300 aftermarket. That's crazy. Alright. This should work. I should be able to view the chat now. Alright, I got it, boys. I could see the chat. Alright. I think I fixed the echo. So, Microsoft ER, it was pretty good. What are we at right now? I know we're sitting at about, all right, 140. I think the market makers were expecting around a $4.25 move. So we closed around, where did we close? We closed around 136. That's pretty much right about there. Only thing I would say about Microsoft is be wary in the morning. I know option pricing is going to be a little weird. Um, so just be careful when you're trading the Microsoft options. Who said gap fill? Gap fill on Microsoft, strong push. Um, what gap are we talking about here? Microsoft pretty much is here at 52-week highs. Um, I could be bullish on it, but that's all depending on how the market is. Considering that we're here at about 300 after hours, my guess is tomorrow we'll probably see a sell off a little bit slightly. We could bounce. Let me look at the watch list that Bueller posted. Um, CGC, AMD. Okay, AMD is actually, I've been trading AMD recently. Um, I think most of the sell off happened on AMD, but I wouldn't be too bullish on it. We have earnings coming up at the end of July. It really depends. Let me see here. What do we got on a daily basis here? My guess, let's do it 30-minute. I would say the most important level is where we at after hours 33. Um, if we break above for tomorrow, I'm talking about tomorrow, if we have a good green day, I could see maybe going long a little bit as like an intraday scout, but AMD is not really a stock that I like to swing because it's pretty volatile. It's considered like a day trading stock, so you never really know. It's always pumped and dumped. The volume is always really high on AMD. Um, so I would say a break above this open, this open right here at today, we might be able to push up and maybe see 336. Pretty much, we might be able to test 34 again. Is my guess. If you want to go long on AMD, but I'm still kind of bearish on AMD. Let me open up the thing here. Oh, shop. I like shop. Shop has been interesting. I actually have this charted out a little bit here. So going back to the, sorry guys, I like barely use Thinkorswim on my computer, to be honest. I mostly use TradingView at my work computer, so I'm struggling a little bit. We have this nice trend line going on here with shop. I would say that's about a decent trend line. Do you want to keep in mind? I wouldn't go long right out of gates for shop. Holding over the weekend is, I'm not a big fan of holding over the weekend now just because of how news driven the market is. Everyone has their eye on the China trade war. Everyone has their eyes on the Fed's cutting rates. And so all this economic data that is coming out is so crucial. Um, I know we had some manufacturing data that came out. So pretty much now the market's kind of in a weird spot where the market is rallying on the Fed rate cuts. So any good economic data that's being released recently is considered bad news to the market. Why? Because it kind of um, goes against backing up the need for a Fed rate cut. So every time we get good economic data, you notice that the market tanks, which is really weird. But hence, that's kind of why I don't want to hold over the weekend because of the market conditions we're in. Um, but if we open up, let me see, shop. I'm kind of pissed I didn't take shop today down here. I was dead ass looking at it. Um, it bounced so nice off this support that I drew. I would get long on shop if we can touch below 330 tomorrow. I would consider calls, but keep in mind I think the option pricing is pretty expensive for shop. Let's see here. Trade. We have shop here. Oh, actually, let me do this. This is actually what I used to set up on my swing trades, Tom's option tools. No, I'm not gonna look at these options here. I definitely think shop has room to go a lot higher than 338. Let's look at the July 26th and August 2nd calls. I know it's a little confusing here. So, open interest. Where's the volume? Is volume? Okay. $340. What's the IV on these? If you wanted to do shop calls over the weekend, depending on how the market is, these these 340 calls, not July 26th. I wouldn't do that over the weekend. I'd give yourself some time on the August ones. Yeah, these 340s have decent volume and open interest. And let's see what that would look like, the risk graph. So this is what's really cool about Tom's option tools. It's a little expensive, but if you guys are interested in swing trading options or researching, straddles, strangles, condors, spreads, debit spreads, this allows you to pick out your options, look at the risk graph. It gives you the graph of shop here. And it gives you the risk graph here. So 43 delta. IV's not that bad, but you'll notice the IV, where is it? Yeah. The Ivy's starting to come up, so the premiums are going to start getting expensive. I'd look for in August 2nd. I wouldn't do any of the July 26s just because I like to give myself time. I know a lot of the people in the chat like to do the weeklies. This tomorrow's expire, and if you don't really know what you're doing or what you're looking for, um, or if you don't have day trades, I don't suggest weekly options because you can lose money very, very fast if stuff goes south. It doesn't hurt to go out 30 to 45 days. You're still going to make decent profit, um, but you save yourself that huge risk of something going wrong and you're stuck in the trade. And you can hold longer if stuff seems to go that way and the theta is not that bad. But it looks like a break above what are we at right now? Like 333. I would go long. You notice this pattern here? I'm gonna go back to Thinkorswim. Let's do the 15-minute. You notice how you get this sell off in the morning? I wouldn't buy right out of gates. So I would say if we open up, I would say anywhere below 330 is kind of like a buy zone for the calls, but of course you want to get confirmation. I would not buy over 330. Now, of course, this is going to be your resistance right here, the 336.95. Watch the price action. It likes to curl. Once you see that curling action, then you know possible play could happen. Like today, I called it out in the chat. Right about down here, you see these huge red candles coming down, and I actually had this support drawn out like a week ago, and it actually bounced nicely off that. So then you see these thinner body candles, these wicks right here. You have these big wicks. That means you have a lot of buying pressure down there, a lot of support, which right here on the trend line support, these wicks are being bought up, bought up, bought up. The candle bodies are getting smaller, 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 and then you start having that upwards curling motion. You come down, curl up. That's like one of the main formations I like to look for when getting in a trade. And then of course you have this bullish candle, another bullish candle, and confirmation for me to getting calls today was probably the second green candle. Now, of course, you might have been a little wary there, but below this trend line would have been my stop out. So definitely bullish on shop long term. I would consider even getting like an August expire and maybe even like some 350 calls as a swing. You can hold those. But I would definitely look for shop long tomorrow. But I would not buy it above 330. That's just I don't like the risk reward there. There's too little upside versus downside for the day. So that's my opinion on shop. I like shop tomorrow. I'm rambling on, so anyone want to just like put suggestions in there? Because I really haven't looked at the market. I've been all over the place today. Disney. I'm in another chat room. We just got long on Disney today. I think a lot of people in the other chat were in some November 150 calls. When is earnings for Disney? Disney is a potential nice swing play. We have Lion King coming out. I don't know what date Lion King comes out, but I think Lion King is going to absolutely kill it. I know Toy Story drove in some decent volume. We had some nice price action with Toy Story. I think Lion King is going to be a lot bigger and break some box office records, which is going to bring in a lot of buyers. On the daily chart, right here, 140 is huge support. You can look, I think that was today. We touched 140, that got bought up immediately. I think we're in a good buy zone. We have a nice trend line going long term. Disney is not really like a great day trading stock, but I do like this long. That's a horrible trend line. Can I move it? No. We'll do this. Could be a little wedge going on here. My suggestion is Disney. Grab some September, November, even like some August calls if you want other earnings. Is so this would be good actually for Disney if you want to get in a swing trade. We have earnings on August 6th. Let's see. Wow, look at that. August 9th. Now, if you're going to do this, I wouldn't hold this into earnings. I'll look at Square in a sec. See, I never use my computer to trade on this thing, so I'm like, what? Oh, these are the strikes, okay. And these are this is okay, I see it. Is this the price? Oh, bid ask, okay. Yeah, these are cheap too. These are so cheap. The August 9th. Wow. Where's the volume? How do I get the volume in here? I can't even see. Whatever. What are the 150s looking like? $0.81. Am I going crazy or are these really 81 cents? Well, they're 98. Mulan too. Now the thing with Disney is these movies. It's not only going to drive in box office numbers, but it's just going to drive overall sales of merchandise, other licensing deals. These Disney movies are more than just regular movies. It's extra revenue on top of the box office revenue, because you know other I don't know how to really explain it, but I do like the 150 calls on Disney. If you for August 9th, you can get a nice earnings run up there. It's not too affected by the market, so you can avoid some volatility there. But these are 98 cents. Pick up a couple of those. I'm gonna look to add into a Disney position tomorrow for a swing into earnings. Disney 150 calls there. I like them at. Can I look at the chart for this? God, I need to get better at doing this on the computer. Oh, quick quote. Yeah, no, I don't know how to do this, but I like Disney. I would consider adding Disney tomorrow. You're down here on trendline support. Goodbye zone. What are we at for the day? Yeah, you're pretty much Disney's not going to break below 140. So if I can get in those calls around $140, 141, I'm sorry, I'm a buyer down there for 150s, August 9th. Maybe not, actually. That's not enough time. I would go with the 145s. Correction, 145s. Square? You wanted me to look at Square? Yeah, Disney's top and bottom line revenue and balance sheets are incredible. Plus, you have the streaming service. Don't forget, you have the streaming service that's coming out in November, and you have all these movies coming out. That's just adding to the content of Disney Plus. And you saw Netflix tank. That could either be good or bad for Disney, but I wouldn't really consider them competitors yet because Disney's not really in the streaming service. That's in November, which is why I said November calls go out to November. So I'm gonna correct that. I'm gonna write this down. I'm gonna say if you like to go long as like a holding for a couple weeks position, and you can adjust throughout the weeks. November 150 calls, I definitely like those. Um, or if you want to do something shorter term, I like the August. Um, I think it was the August 8th, 145 calls. Those two I think are pretty solid, low risk, high probability plays. Um, so this is Square. I think Square had a couple. What was it? Price target updates, or what do they call it? Price points. I always start out by looking at the daily because I can get an overall picture of the market. So you notice here how the last couple days Square has been kind of bouncing around, consolidating in this $2 range here. If you go back historically, what is this? How far are we back? This is February. We have this. Oh, this was earnings. Okay, so this was two earnings reports ago. You had the high of day at 82.78. You can see here the high here was 82.71. So you have some good resistance on Square. Good thing is it has some decent support down here at $80. It doesn't want to break down below $80. So actually, I kind of like Square. If we can break above here of that high of 82.78, I'm gonna write that down in my notebook. I might even look at that for tomorrow. 82.78. I think the price upgrade was to like $100. If someone wants to correct me, but I mean, oh, copy the option and paste in the chart tab. Yeah, I got to think about that. So yeah, these are going to be your two pretty big resistance points for Square. So I would say first point, if you want to go long tomorrow, buy on the dip. If you get confirmation, as we approach this high of the 82.78, that's going to be a crucial point of where you want to look at. If we get rejected pretty hard, then I would consider getting out, depending on how hard we get rejected off the 82.78. If you kind of test 82.78 and you're kind of consolidating just below it and you're testing it a couple times, I'd consider staying in, but stick to your rules of 10%. Well, everyone has their own different rules, but I like to keep my stop loss around 10% depending on the size of my position. So 82.78. Oh, is this even lower? 83. The high was 83. So a break above $83 in Square would be, I consider, breakout to the upside. I think you would get a really nice move on that. Now I like to move down to the lower time frames to get a better picture on a smaller scale. This is the hourly chart. We do have a little bit of bearish divergence here. We're kind of making just a little bit, slightly downtrending. I guess you could consider this. I think that looks pretty nice. So tomorrow I'd be looking for, on a smaller time scale, let's look at the 5-minute. We're looking good after hours too. I would say if we open up tomorrow, first point would be 82.12 is where we would test. I think if we break above here, we have two nice little resistance point here, some resistance over here at this level. This was, well, I guess considered today's high. Today's high, 82.13. I would consider definitely confirmation on some calls for tomorrow. So you could go long. I wouldn't really short Square though. I think it's a good company. It had some price upgrades. I think the industry's doing well. Global payments is doing well. It's a growing industry. I mean, you look at MasterCard, American Express. These are the things you need to look for when you're getting into a stock. You got to look at the whole sector. You can't just because one stock looks good. You want to get an overall picture for confirmation as well. Like, for example, like Apple. If you want to go long in Apple, I usually like to take a look at Qualcomm. I like to take a look at, not Qualcomm, or yeah, it was Qualcomm. I like to look at that. I like it to look at the other tech companies in the space, see how that market's or sector is performing too. So yeah, I could go long on Square tomorrow if we get a nice bounce off the trend line. I always wait for confirmation though. Someone said Apple. That looks good. start with the daily. CGC, BMY. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the weed industry right now. What's BMY? I just want to know what BMY is for some wires. Don't really know what kind of company that is, but I'll take a look. So, beautiful daily candle here. You have a nice trend line. Could even be like I said, the market is really news driven right now. So um, these big names, Apple. What did I click? Okay, Apple, um, Facebook. Um, what else is on my watch list? Microsoft, Netflix, Nvidia, Qualcomm. Like these are all kind of been mirroring the market, so you'll want to get in. Depending on tomorrow, I could be bullish, um, but let's see. That's a terrible trend line. So that's a good idea. Hmm. Eh, good enough to me. We're making nice highs in the aftermarket. I don't know. I could be short bias for Apple. My guess is we open up a little bit lower on Apple. I don't think we're going to open up above 206. We could test 206 too. I like to use some of the after hours or pre market highs and lows as target points as well. You can't ignore those, but I don't have a 2-minute chart on this. My opinion on Apple is if you want to get calls, I think you might be, depending on what expire you get, you might, I don't think the risk, I don't think the reward to risk ratio is there if you want to get in calls tomorrow. But like I said, it's all depending on the market. If we break above 206.2 tomorrow, I could see a nice little move, a nice little dollar move, $2 move, maybe not even a dollar move, but we'll get a nice move there. Let me look at the higher time frame again. I'm trying to see if we have. Might see 207 tomorrow. This is the high here. Could see 207. Very unlikely, but it's always possible. We could see 208, but that's a shot in the dark. but that would be a nice little target point there. We do have a gap to fill here. So going back, I could be long above 206.2 for a move to 207. Probably a dollar move. Like I said, dollar or two move. Two is a shot in the dark. But short bias, I'll probably maybe scout puts depending on how it's acting. But you have some nice upwards momentum on the MACD. Everything's looking good for tomorrow. I know the futures are doing crazy right now. Apple's one of my favorites, by the way. I trade Apple a lot. So you got to see, wait for confirmation there. I wouldn't trade Netflix. That's my opinion. I mean, you could go either way. You could. I would let things die down with Netflix before you play it. I think it's just kind of at a really fragile point. I mean, it. I just wouldn't play it personally, but I'll throw. I might add Apple on my watch list. Break above 206.2. If we break above 206.2, you could consider a very short term scalp, but I wouldn't hold. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna say. If we break above 206 and you want to get in calls, I think that's a day trade. I wouldn't hold that, because we still have a lot more downside versus upside. There's still a lot of negative catalysts. We have the trade war. I know the market's still focused around the Fed rate cuts, but our economy seems to be doing fairly well. Personally, I don't think we're going to get any rate cuts in July. So, you know what that means. If we don't get any rate cuts, the market's just going to go down the shitter. So, day trade wise, yes, I'll probably scout Apple calls above 206. Other than that, I could see a retracement back down to maybe like a 204, 203 level, 203, 204 level. Netflix. Yeah, I just don't want to trade this at all. My guess is that we just consolidate. We just consolidate. Oh my god, yo, look at this candle. Look at this gap. Honestly, you know what? If you want to do Netflix calls, it could be the risk to reward ratio, I think, is good, but I would not do a normal large size position that you normally trade with. I will most likely go with a half position. Let me see the price on these options. I'm just going to look at it from my phone. I'm not going to look it on here because I mostly trade from my phone, but because look how far out of the Bollinger Band it is. Most likely, more than not, you're going to see a retracement, but it depends how far. I mean, that's just insane. Well, you could, yeah, you could do some calls, but Let me look on my phone how bad this. Okay. So if you want to do like a July. July 3:30 call. There's a lot of volume in those. Price isn't terrible. I'd consider like one contract. But that's depending on how it moves tomorrow. It just kind of like consolidated all day. I think you're going to see this choppiness for the next couple days, but it's you could do Netflix calls. It's not something that I would normally do, but I could see the reasoning behind it. I'll get in depending on tomorrow, but it's not. I wouldn't. That's not something that I would focus on. Someone said Facebook. Oh, Nvidia. Okay, yeah. Nvidia. I had that today. I got some calls in that. Yeah, I bought my calls. I made 25% on those calls today. I think I got in. I got in right about here. Yeah. I got in right about here. Now I almost stopped out. I was down almost. I was actually down 10%. No, I was down almost 10%. Oh, that's right. No, I got in. I got in right about here on the start of this green candle. So what triggered me to get in? This is why I took the Nvidia trade. It was kind of risky, but looking on a higher time frame, we have a nice trend line going here. I'll draw a little trend line. So, how do I get rid of this? This was my confirmation candle on the reversal here. You could see these wicks got bought up. It came down, hit support, consolidated for about 15 minutes. This is the 5-minute time frame. So I figured, okay, we might have found the bottom here. You got a candle up here, but we still have some resistance here. So I said once we broke above this candle, I would consider getting in calls because I feel like we found the bottom for the day and we could have a nice run up because considering it's been moving up lately. And I do like Nvidia. So what is this? We got this candle. This wasn't really confirmation because it didn't close above. Now this is what Gates and I say, wait for confirmation. When you get the close of the candle above, because you could easily have it, come up above and then get sold right off and then break back down in a 5-minute time span. So a lot can happen in five minutes. So that got rejected, then consolidated, tested again, it got rejected, and finally we got a nice green candle, and then we got a break above confirmation. So this is about where I got in, about 168.55. Now I almost got stopped out here. I was down, but um, I was mainly looking for a lower low. Um, I mean, everyone has different indicators, but I felt like we were going to have a nice little grind up for the rest of the day. And also, volume is another like pretty important indicator I like to look at. So here are the volume graphs. You'll notice um, these nice green candles have higher volume. So I got in around here. Um, this big red candle, this sell off, you could see the volume was pretty much half of what these green candles and these regular doji candles are. So I didn't think it was like a warranted sell off, and we didn't get a lower low. We still had a nice trend going up, so I almost stopped up. Didn't get confirmed, so I stayed in, and eventually we had that nice little grind up with the good news. Here I almost stopped out again, but it wasn't a lower low, so I stayed in. I sold it at about here. It hit up here at the upper Bollinger Band, and we got the red candle coming down. And once that red candle started, I just got out. I took my profits. That's why you can't get greedy. You're up 25%. Just get in. So, considering the futures right now, I might get in calls at the open, depending on where we open up. And 172.71 is going to be the first target I'm looking at. This will be confirmation on a continued uptrend. It would be a higher high. So I like NVIDIA long. What are we at right now? What do we close at? We'll probably gap up. We'll probably open up. My guess is if we stay. So 171. I would say a break above the close is where I'm going to start being bullish, is where I would get in. That's if we gap down, but I don't think we're going to gap down. But if we touch around here, my guess is that we might open up. If we gap up a little bit, we might get, profit taking right at the open and bounce right around this level here. You have some decent support. You have a nice support here. This was previous resistance, which you want to now see if the next day makes it its support. So you have here, resistance here, and resistance here. And we actually close right about here. So we might see a touch of 170.20-ish tomorrow and then start to move up again. That's my guess, but I'll definitely look at calls on NVIDIA tomorrow. If you want to go short, like I said, I don't know if everyone saw it, but in the Discord I said earlier, depending on how the market's doing, if we're having a really, really green day and the market's doing very well, the SPY is up nice. I like to be delta positive, which means in more calls than puts. So hence why I'm looking at mostly calls. I wouldn't really be looking to short anything tomorrow if SPY runs up and gets rejected from 300. But we've already touched over 300 in after hours. Where are we at now? Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see SPY retest 300 again and see if we can break and hold above that. That's going to be actually a pretty crucial point tomorrow. So that's something I would really want to look at too in the overall market. If SPY breaks above 300 and holds, we could see a continuation move up. But if we fail to break above 300 and we get rejected pretty hard and the market doesn't want to go over 300, then I think we're going to have, a lot of the larger cap stocks, Apple. I don't know so much about Microsoft because they just had earnings, so things usually trade a little weird around earnings. But those large caps might have a little sell off tomorrow. But I would be bullish on the day tomorrow. So I like Nvidia long. We had Apple, a break above 2062. Swing trades. I mentioned Disney. I have these all written down. Tomorrow on the train, I will throw those in the chat for you guys, and those are things that I might be taking as well. I was looking at PayPal. I think PayPal, what did PayPal break a new high today, or it came pretty close? I don't know any news on PayPal, but I know I was following it. Lows. That doesn't look too nice. This is why I don't like lows right now. Well, it's not really a nice trend line. I'm terrible at drawing trend lines. But we'll just, whatever. We'll use that. Look at that. That's 3 higher lows on the daily. And these are some big red candles. If you want to go bullish on the day, gap fill. That's about it. I don't know what the news was. Was there any news? How do I see the news? Oh, I think we had housing data today. I think it was like housing startups missed expectations. So, what is this? Making the case. Oh, that was old. Yeah, there's nothing updated here. But yeah, I think what drove this down was the housing data that came out. You could go either way tomorrow. You have this nice little trend line support. My guess is you're not going to see much of a move from lows tomorrow, besides maybe a gap fill to, what was the low? Oh, well, what was the close? 104.93. I remember last time we traded lows, I think I nailed it on by the penny. That was insane. But yeah, this is how I found. What day was that we traded lows? Oh, yeah, it was this day. It was this day. And this is what me and Gates were looking at here. Market hates gaps. It's always looking to fill the gaps. So so we had this nice little triangle going here, a consolidation, or if you want to look on the lower time frames, we saw Lowe's was ready to break out with the confirmation above here, and this was kind of my target point because you have a nice support in the gap fill. That's kind of what I was looking for as a target, and it hit pretty nicely. Rejected from trend line, resistance line, whatever you want to call it, and we gap down. So tomorrow, you could go long. First target would be, what's the close on this candle? 104.93. Lows 104.93. 104.93. Now, if we break above that, $105.36. This is what I'm going to use as the next point of resistance, which was that day's open. So these are just like these little confirmation price points that I look for when I get into a trade on the daily, because usually the daily are gonna have stronger resistance than like if you were looking at like a 1 minute chart. These are like more significant than 5 minute resistance candles. So if you're looking to go long on lows, that target, and then you would be looking here, which would be the low 105.36. So keep both of those. Yeah, nice, Gilbert. I unfortunately missed the move on lows that day. I was pretty pissed. I don't like to get in trades until like 20 to 30 minutes after open, just because there's a lot of shaking out and fake outs that happened, and the volatility. The market opens, people want to get dump their shares and take profits, and then some people want to buy it up, so the volatility is always crazy in the first 15 minutes, and then you have usually most of the options are really really erratic in the morning too, because you have those huge IV fluctuations in the morning. When you get those big ranged candles, you always notice the volume is huge within the first 15 minutes. So I like to sit out, but I missed that Lowe's play. But look for these 2 points long tomorrow. If we get a break, another red candle, we could see 102. We could see 102 if we open up and we get a bad day. But considering the market, I think we'll have a nice day. So short below, what is this? What is this candle's low? 103, 104, open. I would say short below 104.6. 10. Let's just make it even and make it 104. I would say right about 104. Once we start testing 104, I would consider puts there if we're looking weak. But keep that in mind. Not something I don't really trade lows though. See, now PayPal is perfect for a swing trade, but not here. Maybe like, look at this channel. This is what makes swing trading perfect. When you get nice channels like that. Another good example, I was in a swing trade for MasterCard. Look at this. That's gold. That's gold. But anyways, you were looking at PayPal. I mean, you could go long on PayPal. I personally don't like buying at the top. This would be buying at the top. This is where you start thinking about your risk reward ratio. Now, if you buy calls, you got to think, how much upside do we really have? Market is pretty much at all-time highs. This stock particularly is at all-time highs. I think the whole sector, the whole payment sector is at all-time highs. You have Visa. Yeah, look at this. See, this is what I talk about when you trade stocks. It's always nice to look at the sector as a whole. You have Visa trading the same. You have MasterCard trading the same. PayPal trading the same. So these are all things you need to consider when you swing trade. How is the overall sector doing? But I wouldn't go long on PayPal. I would like to see PayPal come down. I'm not going to go too much in depth, as you can tell, but we're just like, I like PayPal if we can get like 116, 117 range, and we get a nice bounce in confirmation. I'll consider calls. I wouldn't short it. But it just doesn't look all that crazy. It's just kind of consolidating. I mean, you look at the last 5 days, and this high was pre-market, and it wasn't even intraday. But you have 121 and 118. Not really like a great range, and if you want to look at the daily range, 121. I mean, you have like a $2, 120, $1 to $2 to work with. So swing trade, I wouldn't get in yet. I wouldn't short PayPal. I like the industry. I think they're going to perform very well in the future, moving forward. But that's my opinion. Yeah, moves too slow. I think it trades on low volume. Uber. Yeah. This is literally, Mark, shout out to you. This is a beautiful setup. I might even trade this tomorrow. This is just like the most perfect triangle ever. Like, it doesn't get any more perfect than that. I mean, you can even extend it to yesterday too. It's been grinding up. Let me look at it in a yearly. I always start with the yearly. Oh yeah, it's kind of still new, IPO-ish. Since it IPO'd, it's doing well. It's trending up. You're here, right here at the support, trend line support, and you also have just like a regular, likes to, what's the range on this? I think Uber's in a good buy zone. What's Lyft look like? Lyft doing the same thing. See, this is, well, they don't exactly look the same. They're competitors, but it's forming a triangle, kind of. Still, but, Uber's moving up, Lyft is moving up. I don't know any other competitors or what the sector's like, but you can even go Lyft or Uber. Is this the 5 minute? Yep. You can try. I think Lyft and Uber both have nice setups for tomorrow. What did we close today? $66. We closed 66 today. Oh, this is Lyft. Wait, what am I doing? I was looking at the hourly. I could see Lyft go and test this target tomorrow of 66.64. We have a really nice uptrend going. It's holding trend line support. It's moving up, making higher highs, higher lows. You have a MACD crossover. Momentum is up. Here's the confirmation. Now this is where volume gets important. Notice how this day, how much volume we had. Now look at the size of the candles. This is another confirmation I like to look for. So once we get volume going in this thing, I think this is nice for tomorrow. Too Lyft. Look at this. Look at this volume candle on the hourly. A nice big green candle. And you notice these red candles or these crappy candles with no volume. It's still holding. It's not being sold off. It's just consolidating on this low volume, so it's not being sold off. It's holding. I think Lyft is not too shabby. And look, we had a red day on, what was that, 7-Eleven. That was like last week or so. Volume was down. You had volume going down, candles going down. So these are the things that these are all indicators you want to look at when going into a trade. So Lyft and Uber are both good candidates for tomorrow. Lyft, I'm going to write this down. Lyft 0.6664. I don't want to go too much in depth into it because it's getting late, but I think Lyft can go for that target tomorrow since we are having I suspect a green day tomorrow. And like you said, Uber. We could these are points you want to look for. I think Uber's going to have a huge day tomorrow if we get a nice breakout. Huge day. Here's going to be another level of resistance you're going to be looking at. So a break above, let's just say, like if we open somewhat flat or a little bit green, how does it usually open the last couple days? Sell off, slight little sell off, Just a little consolidation. So it likes to sell off a little bit at the open. My guess is if we open up flat, we'll come down, bounce off of this line, this trend line, probably see. I would say don't take the trade if we go below this point here. Don't even get in the calls. 43.65. If we're down below there, just don't even get in. But this is the level you're going to be wanting to look at. 43.80, 43.85. So 43.80 to 43.90. Break above those, and we're pretty much confirmed. 90 is confirmed. Yeah, 90 is confirmed. We have broken out. And when we break out, we're going to break out. And it's going to go fast. So be ready to buy that up. I'm going to put that on my watch list. Yeah, 90. Yeah, this yesterday's resistance. These are all points you want to look at. So, I have the first line here. So 43.80, if we break above, I'll get in. I'm just going to get in. Then I'll be looking very closely at about 85 to 90. So I'll be closely looking at it until we finally get this final break of resistance, because we have this. It's all kind of the same. So 90 is confirmed. We are breaking out. I'm holding, and then I will kind of be relieved, and I won't be staring at my phone waiting for this thing to break above 43.90. I could kind of relax and look at the market. So my entry would be 43.80. Keep your stop loss tight on this. I will. So yeah, that's what I'll be looking at. Good night, buddy. See you later. Yeah, I've never really live streamed and done charts, and I just kind of went in here without a plan or what I want to go over. So this is just off of the dome. So next time I do this, I'll have a agenda, and if people have questions about options or anything like that, like spreads, and when to use them or anything like that, I'd be happy to do a live stream about that. But this is just kind of off the top of my head. But yeah, it's getting late. It's 12 o'clock. I got work tomorrow. I gotta finish packing. But so I'll put these all in the chat tomorrow. Just a quick review. November Disney 150 calls. August 8th, 145s. I'll be looking at those. Apple 206.2 is long. I think we're gonna test that point tomorrow. I think I mentioned Nvidia on the list. We have Lyft. We have Uber. I have this random point on my sheet, 82.78. Okay. All right, but yeah, those are the main things. But yeah. How do I exit out of this crap? I do it through here. All right, peace, guys.